Our first story will be from the court case. The National Democratic Congress is attending a congress on Saturday all over the country in 275 constituencies where they will be electing both parliamentary and presidential candidates. For the presidential candidates, 3 persons have been confirmed by the NDC and they have been put on the ballot. President John Dramani Mahama is first on the ballot, Kojo Bonsu is second on the ballot, and Dr. Duffour is third on the ballot. All is set for all the elections to occur. 275 constituencies, 137 of them held by NDC MPs, the others held by NPP MPs. The NDC is competing across the country for all of that. But tonight, Dr. Duffour has issued a court writ. He's suing the NDC for something he believes are anomalies with the electoral timetable. At the back of Dr. Duffour's suit is the nervous situation of the NDC, where their opponents, the NPP, and indeed even some civil society, consistently accuse the NDC of not being prepared electorally all the time. They do not know how to collate results. They don't know how to put their election operation together, and then after the election they say that they have been cheated, when in fact they really didn't even know whether they have been cheated or not, because they don't have the basis to make the challenge and the basis to make the comparison. That is lingering at the back of civil society, is lingering at the back of the NDC, who are hoping that their opponents don't latch upon that. Whatever it is, the High Court will have to hear the matter. It is believed that Dr. Duffour is seeking an injunction. Tonight, we'll bring you the details on the touchscreen on what is Dr. Duffour's claims. We do not necessarily agree with his claims. We cannot necessarily verify or vouch for the veracity of what Dr. Duffour is putting out, but we will put it out because it is a matter of high public interest. That's what we're going to do on the touchscreen when we start. And then after that, the big citizen question. So President John Dramani Mahama goes to Tamale to campaign. And during his campaign, and the Tamale is significant, you see, because Haruna Idrisu, or Idrisu Haruna, the former minority leader, is a big man in Tamale. His stronghold is Tamale South. And so President John Dramani Mahama going to Tamale on the 11th hour ahead of his voting on the 13th of May. It was significant. Political watchers were observing what will be the body language between President Mahama and Haruna Idrisu. Why do we need to know whether there will be a body language? Because of what has happened in the past. We know that Haruna Idrisu was unceremoniously removed as the leader of the minority, purportedly conducted by the chairman of the party, General Johnson Asedu Nketia, and the General Secretary Fifi Kwete. The letter that went to the speaker had the signature of Fifi Kwete. It was widely believed that the two had consulted President John Dramani Mahama before they did that. Now, President John Dramani Mahama had a historical, frosty relationship with Idrisu Haruna. You remember in 2013, there had to be a massive demonstration in Tamale before Haruna Idrisu's name was mentioned as a minister, because President Mahama had released the first list of ministerial appointees. Haruna Idrisu, who was coming from the Mills administration as a senior member of the cabinet, Minister for Communication in the Mills administration, was excluded from the list that President Mahama first released. The demonstration was occasioned in Tamale, violent one, before Haruna Idrisu's name was mentioned. So that's the historical relationship between the Member of Parliament for Tamale South and the the presumptive presidential candidate of the NDC, former President John Dramani Mahama. So people were looking to see what happens. Now, something happened. President Mahama knew that this was an issue for him to address, so he did address it. Somehow, these days, this mobile phone is a problem, isn't it? So people were filming everything around. So when you show up, you remember the other day I was going to buy rice, and they took photographs of me, and they gave it to somebody called Due Respect, and he showed it. So these days, the phone has become very, very complicated. So somebody was also focusing his phone on the reactions of Idrisu Haruna. I don't know whether it's a media house, because sometimes when we send reporters across, we tell them, you focus on the story, you focus on the backstory, you focus on that. So when they come to the newsroom, then we put it together. So it's entirely possible that it was media who was filming the stage for that reaction, and then they put it together. We'll show you that. It is quite interesting. We will not make any comment on it, but we'll show it to you for you to have a look. That's how we start before we go to the Duffour story. Also tonight, the Attorney General has come into the news on two grounds. First one is the court case. It's a high court case where a Ghanaian distinguished farmer has sued the speaker, and he is arguing that the point that he sues upon is a point that Attorney General made as well in his memorandum to the committee of parliament that is looking at the what we now generally refer to notoriously as the gay bill, but it is a bill for proper human, etc. It's a bill with a long name, but we call it the gay bill, and everyone understands that. Tonight, we will show you the most important parts of the Attorney General's bill, isolated on the pages that we have seen, and we'll share with you so you can get to know what is happening. And then we will give you our narrative on the whole gay situation. So 3 stories: Dr. Duffour's court case, President Mahama's citizenship support, and the Attorney General's document on the gay bill. That's our story for tonight. Send your comments on Good Evening Ghana Official on Facebook, and also maybe we shall open the phone lines and people can talk about this. Without much ado, I welcome you to the show. Let's first look at these photographs drawn from Tamale. This is the first one. So this is President John Dramani Mahama on the right, and Idrisu Haruna sitting immediately next to him at the forum when President Mahama spoke. People have interpreted the body language of the two, looking away and looking different, etc., etc. But that's a matter for you viewers to make your own decision on. Let's look at the next photograph. This one is the big one. I believe that the lines drawn over there are lines that has been drawn by MPP people. This is a photograph that has enjoyed a bit of attention on social media. Now, this is Idrisu Haruna on the right, and my friend from Christ Embassy, Sami Jemfi, on the left. It would appear that the body language suggests that there's a very, very frosty relationship between the two. Sami Jemfi is by far the younger comrade, Idrisu Haruna the more experienced and very successful comrade in terms of the NDC philosophy. Idrisu Haruna has certainly done more than Sami Jemfi for the NDC philosophy, but of course Idrisu Haruna is older, and this is the situation in Tamale on the stage between Sami Jemfi, the Director of Communications of the party, Idrisu Haruna, the Member of Parliament, and then let's keep that one on, we are still talking about that one. And then Idrisu Haruna, the Member of Parliament for Tamale South, who is also a former minority leader. But here is the video of what President Mahama said. Now, watch the video carefully and watch the reaction of Haruna Idrisu. Have a look.
And I know that some people like conspiracy theories, and this one doesn't like this one and this one are quarreling. Count me out. I have no enemy in the northern region. All of them are my younger brothers. Hudu Yaya and Co started it. And then we are the next generation after Hudu and Co. And I know that Haruna and all of them are the next generation after us. We will finish and hand over the power to them. They would lead us. And so let us all be together. Those who have been putting out conspiracy theories, hiding and recording tapes and insulting everybody. If you are a true NDC, what you are doing is rather dividing the party, not uniting it. If you are a true NDC and you are hiding and you are recording audios insulting your fellow NDC, then what you are doing is you are dividing the party, you are not uniting the party. And so we are united. There is no problem between us. And we're going to work together. We're going to win the election of 2024, and we're going to put Ghana back on its feet. I thank you very much.
I like the Hausa that President Mahama speaks at the end of the video, but that's what people are saying. They're saying that whilst President Mahama was issuing words of encouragement from the podium, Idrisu Haruna's body language and his expression was completely different. It was completely in the opposite direction. For good measure, we put that video together in a montage with my favorite political party anthem, the NDC anthem, because it's a hymn from the Bible. This is the NDC anthem with what we just showed you. By the time you come back to us, we're on the touch screen with the full analysis. Here it is. Enjoy this one.
For Ghana, operation of the land.
And I know that some people like conspiracy theories, and this one doesn't like this one and this one are quarreling. Count me out. I have no enemy in the northern region. All of them are my younger brothers. Hudu Yaya and Co started it. And then we are the next generation after Hudu and Co. And I know that Haruna and all of them are the next generation after us. We will finish and hand over the power to them. They will lead us. And so let us all be together. Those who have been putting out conspiracy theories, hiding and recording tapes and insulting everybody. If you are a true NDC, what you are doing is rather dividing the party, not uniting it. If you are a true NDC and you are hiding and you are recording audios insulting your fellow NDC, then what you are doing is you are dividing the party, you are not uniting the party. And so we are united. There is no problem between us. And we're going to work together. We're going to win the election of 2024, and we're going to put Ghana back on its feet. I thank you very much. Now,
for Ghana, of the drop of the land, forward and secure future. People love me, our God, from being to be free, and this shall lead to stable democracy. I was sent to you.
Okay, so that's a story. I promise I won't say much about it, but that's what we got. And so we continue our show tonight with the first story, and I'm always excited to stand in front of this touch screen to help our viewers, share with our viewers, and get the sense of what the viewers are saying to us so that we can continue to improve today, tomorrow, and evermore. Okay, this is not the photograph I'm starting with. So the NDC is going to Congress in NDC wants to go to Congress in 13th of May, which is Saturday, approaching us. And Dr. Duffour, who is one of the contenders, has now issued, unfortunately, it's quite unfortunate, but he's issued a writ against the party. We're going to begin with the writ that he's issued, and then we'll build it to the evidence based on which he issues this writ. I have to say again that the evidence that Dr. Duffour's team has gathered and published about the anomalies, what they call anomalies and irregularities of the NDC database for the election, the research findings of Dr. Duffour and his team, we will share with you because it has high public interest. We do not necessarily agree with what Dr. Duffour is saying, and we have no basis to know whether it is factual or not, but we'll share with you because it's a matter of high public interest. There we go. All right. So they are applying for an interlocutory injunction pursuant to Order 25 Rule 1 of CI 47. So an interlocutory injunction is just an injunction pending the final determination of the matter. So Dr. Duffour knows that between now and Saturday, the High Court may not be able to finish determining the matter. In the circumstances, he's going for what we call a prerogative writ. Prerogative writs are those things that you go to court and ask for so that it will protect your interest in the time being. They include quo warranto, they include injunction, they include, which other one? They remind me of it very soon. Quo warranto, injunction, certiorari. They are all prerogative writs. So Dr. Duffour is going for one of the prerogative writs, isn't it? All right. So here it is. Application for interlocutory injunction pursuant to Order 25 Rule 1 of CI 47. So these are the addresses that the document is going to. So the suit is done by Dr. Kwabena Duffour. So this is Kwabena Duffour Senior, not Kwabena Duffour Junior. He's doing it from 3rd Close Airport residential area, and he's suing the General Secretary, National Democratic Congress, 25 Hall Street. Okay. He's also suing the Director, Elections Directorate, National Democratic Congress. He's also suing John Dramani Mahama as well. He's also suing Mr. Kojo Bonsu, and he's also suing the Electoral Commission of Ghana. So the defendants herein begin with the first defendant, the General Secretary of the NDC, the Director of Elections. He doesn't sue the chairman of the NDC, incidentally, because I guess the General Secretary will represent the chairman as well. He sues John Dramani Mahama, and he sues Kojo Bonsu, and he sues the Electoral Commission of Ghana. It is anticipated that Dramani Mahama's lawyers, if they come to the court, will agree with the NDC position of the album that the database has not been infringed upon. We do not know yet what Kojo Bonsu will say, but let's go through the details of the writ that was filed, published to media this afternoon, so that we can understand what he's saying. After that, we'll show you the evidence that he has used to come to this conclusion, because that evidence has also been shared with the media earlier today. Take notice that counsel for plaintiff applicant herein will move this honorable court, praying for an order of interlocutory injunction to restrain the defendant, and respondents, its directors, servants or agents, or otherwise howsoever, from holding the primary elections of the National Democratic Congress Party on the 13th of May 2023, pending the production of a complete and accurate photo album register and the delivery of same to the plaintiff and other presidential aspirants of the National Democratic Congress at least 5 weeks ahead of the elections, as per grounds deposed to in the accompanying affidavits, grounds deposed to in the accompanying affidavits, and for any further orders that the honorable courts may deem fit. So Dr. Duffour is asking the court to injunct the event and prevent the NDC's officials, their assignees, President John Dramani Mahama, one of the presidential candidates, Kojo Bonsu, one of the presidential candidates, and the Electoral Commission, to withhold them from actually conducting the elections on the 13th of May. Why does he say so? Okay, let's get some more details of the matter. Affidavit in support. One of the people who signed the affidavit, I, Bartholomew Kofi Jigbozi Kukubo, of F11 Poki Street, CM28732356, Oyibi, Accra, do make oath and say as follows: that I'm the deponent herein, blah blah blah. He's just describing himself. Okay. It says he has the consent and authority of the plaintiff, Dr. Duffour, to depose to this. Number 3, it says that at the hearing of this application, our solicitor shall seek leave of the honorable court to refer to the pleadings, process, etc., etc. That's all basically template. And then the first defendant is the elected General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress. Okay. The second defendant is a body created by the Constitution of the National Democratic Congress to, among other things, coordinate the registration of party members for purposes of party elections, complete, maintain, and keep custody of the register of the party members, and liaise with the fifth defendant in the conduct of both national and party elections. The fifth defendant herein referred to is the Electoral Commission. Number 6 of the statement of claim says as follows: that the third and fourth defendants are citizens of Ghana and presidential aspirants of the National Democratic Congress, referring to John Dramani Mahama and Kojo Bonsu. That the fifth defendant is a governance institution provided under the 1992 Constitution that refers to the Electoral Commission. Number 8, paragraph 8, it says that per Article 42(1) of the Constitution of the National Democratic Congress, the party is required to elect its presidential candidate 24 months if the party is not in power. Please find attached and marked as Exhibit 1 a copy of the Constitution of the party. 9, that for reasons beyond its control, the party could not meet the deadline for election of a presidential candidate for the 2024 general elections before the end of 2022 calendar year, and accordingly rescheduled the elections to occur on the 13th of May 2023, which is now upon us with just a few days. That the plaintiff says that the plaintiff being Dr. Duffour, says that he and the third and fourth defendant, that is John Dramani Mahama and Kojo Bonsu, filed nominations as the party's presidential candidates 20th to 22nd February 2023 and were vetted on the 27th to 29th March 2023 and approved to contest the flag bearership position of the party. Okay, so fundamentally that's it. Now we are now going to take you to the allegations Dr. Duffour is making. So this is the story for today. This is what Dr. Duffour has published. That's what he sent so far. So this is a summary of, basically a summary of what he's telling the court. Fundamentally, he's asking for an interlocutory injunction on the NDC event pending the final determination of the matter. He wants the court to determine the matter. He wants the court to stop the process before it becomes too late. That's what interlocutory injunction is for. So next time the courts, they are going to discuss the injunction and see whether they will truly injunct the NDC event on the basis of Dr. Duffour's claims that his rights are being violated and trampled upon. On that basis, will the court agree to injunct or not? We don't know what the court will do, but that would be the first argument, whether the court will injunct or not. If the court were to take the decision that they were not to injunct, it will mean that to some extent they have not been completely satisfied that Dr. Duffour has raised a prima facie matter that indicates that he could win the matter. That is how lawyers will interpret it. If the court were to grant the injunction, it will be indicated that Dr. Duffour has raised fundamental questions that go to the core of the issues that he's raising. His human rights being trampled upon, the electoral process lacking the sacrosanct aspect that you need for an electoral process to occur. So that's what we are waiting to see what the court will do. But now we're going to show you the evidence that Dr. Duffour has presented to the media, for which reason he wants to go to court. Let's see some of that. It will be coming up in a minute. So it's a very solemn matter, but we're going to look at it. Let me tell you the time. It's 18 minutes to the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. This is Good Evening Ghana and it's live. Okay, so let's start with the letter Dr. Duffour wrote to the NDC. Let's start with the letter first. And then once we get the letter, then we'll come to the evidence. Okay, good. So on the 8th of May, which is yesterday, Dr. Kwabena Duffour wrote out this letter. And you will see that it's on his letterhead entitled Kwabena Duffour with the NDC logo on the side. So let's see what the details are in this letter. It says, Dr. Duffour's objection. It says, Dear Sir, incomplete / inaccurate voter register. Reference our meeting with the Presidential and Parliamentary Elections Committee of the National Democratic Congress on the 4th of May 2023 from 14:18 hours to 15:23 hours at the NDC headquarters. The meeting lasted for just over an hour. Okay, let's move on. Upon initial review of the 220 constituency voters register photo album, we identified several discrepancies in the register that indicates it is both incomplete and inaccurate. Having an incomplete and inaccurate register is a significant issue when going into an election because it undermines the credibility and the fairness of the election process. A comprehensive and accurate voter register is essential for ensuring that eligible voters are properly registered and for preventing fraudulent activities such as multiple voting, impersonation, and being refused a vote on the day of the election. The incomplete and inaccurate voters register has a high potential of deliberately causing an irreparable damage to the bright chances of candidate Dr. Kwabena Duffour, which we are unable to countenance. That's interesting. Considering the findings, Team Duffour is demanding the following. And this is what they demanded from the NDC. Number 1, postponement of the May 13th presidential primaries. Number 2, stakeholders meeting to establish an agreeable roadmap that will guarantee the integrity of the voters register. Number 3, clean the voters register within an agreeable time frame to ensure free and fair elections. Number 4, to save the image of the NDC so that the party can have the credible voice to speak on national election matters when the need arises. Please, as he says, find attached copies of all evidence and detailed assessment and findings. Signed by Kofi K. Kukubo, Head of Research and Strategy, and is copied to the Elections Committee, NDC, the Chairperson, Electoral Commission of Ghana. So, that is Dr. Duffour's claim. That is his claim. He's saying that there are discrepancies and inaccuracies. So we are now proceeding to show you examples of those discrepancies and inaccuracies and how many places they occur. We have now been listening to election petitions all over the place, from Ghana to Kenya and to Nigeria. And we know that in election petition, the fundamental question that the Supreme Court is looking for is not so much whether there were inaccuracies or whether there were discrepancies, or whether the voters register was faulty. The critical question in election petitions that the Supreme Court or the arbitration panel wants to know is whether or not those infractions that have been identified had a fundamental reflection on the outcome of the elections. So if you have lost elections by 1 million and you can find that there were infractions that affected 100,000 of the vote, the court, the arbitration panel, will tell you that 100,000 of the vote means that you still lost by 900,000. We are not interested. You lost the election. So what Dr. Duffour says here, in terms of identifying the discrepancies, is not as important as if his research has been able to isolate what these discrepancies will do to the outcome of the elections. And I believe they do all that. So we are going to look at all that on the touch screen right now. Okay. So these are the details that they have identified. I have to say again that this is a product of the research of Dr. Duffour's team, and they believe in that, so they have sent it to the NDC and they are in court. It is by no means our information. It's by no means our belief. But why are we sharing it? We are sharing it because it is of high public interest. Okay. The identities of, these are the evidences that they found out. They say the identities of 54 of delegates in the photo, 54%, sorry. The identities of 54% of delegates in the photo album are yet to be validated. Identities yet to be validated. Okay, so I like the way they put it. So there's 54%. Now they are speaking to the critical decision-making point in election matters in terms of the veracity and the validity of the data with which we do elections, which is fundamentally the voters' role. Okay. They say that 54%, that's significant. If it is true that 54% have not been validated and it can be abused, then that's a significant number. It can have an impact on the ultimate outcome of the elections. Can you put this straight for viewers to see this as well? And then we'll be coming back and forth as we look at it. Yes, so viewers, you can read it yourself now. Okay, now, so that's 54%. Then there's 28% of delegates in the list have no information on their background yet in the list. Okay, 28% of delegates in the list have no information on their background. We'll look at the list. They give us examples of the list. So we'll look at the list and you will see what they mean by information on the background. So if you look at the list, a delegate must have some information on the delegates list, and they seem not to have it. Okay. Now, the third one is 2% of names have been additionally added onto the register. The percentage can be higher after the identities have been verified. Okay, let's move on. 28% of delegates are missing from the register. That is people who believe they are delegates. Now, that's a very important point because the delegates list is clear, it's obvious. Now, what is a delegates list? The delegates list is simple. It is those polling station executives. So it's very similar to the other party. They have polling stations executives are on the list. Constituency executives are on the list, regional executives are on the list. So if you are regional organizer for Eastern region, you are automatically a delegate. If your name is not on the list, then Dr. Duffour is saying that you are one of the 26%. So 26% of people who should be delegates cannot find their names on the list. They are not in. So if that is allowed to happen, and if it is true, the allegation is that the NDC would have disenfranchised 26% of the base of voters. Duplicated photos of different persons, that is, two different delegates have the same photograph. Well, is it true? And then duplicated voter IDs. Okay, we'll look at the evidence, all the photographs. You're going to put it here, so just give us some patience, viewers. Just give us patience and we'll get there. Unidentified persons were added onto the register. The full extent of the number of unidentified persons can only be determined once the full audit and verification is conducted. I'm not so sure what this means. Because how do they add unidentified persons? I don't get it. So a person is not original. I'm not so sure whether they've looked at the word. Because if you consider the MPP one, you may be tempted to call some people unidentified persons because it is not how do I say? It's not permanent. It's like parliamentary committee, ad hoc, and what do they call that one? Select committee and ad hoc committee. So the select committee is permanent. So there are delegates who are permanent. Constituency chairman is permanent. But there are other delegates who will be added, you see. So, for instance, Mrs. Emma Mitchell is a former minister of the NDC. She doesn't live in Ghana over a while these days. But she shows up and she wants to vote on the 13th of May. She can apply to the NDC head office, but they will have a deadline when those applications will be taken. She can apply to the NDC head office and say that, I would like to participate in the vote. I'm a former minister. Then they will look at it, verify it, and tell candidates few days to the time, maybe depending on the deadline, that listen, we have added 3 more persons who will be voting. They will be voting from the headquarters as part of their polling station. They are Mrs. Emma Mitchell, former minister, Dr. Christina Mwakunuyama, former minister, and Mr. Richard Kwame Pepra, former minister, and Mr. Ibrahim Adam, former minister. 4. And then they will be told. So that is the unidentified. You can't determine that now. If you have the register today, you cannot determine that group of people. Former minister, former ambassador, they have to show up and register, like the way we go and register our names to vote. I may be over 18 and I'm far over 18, and then so I may be over 18, doesn't mean I have a right to vote. I have to go and register. So when I go, I tell the Electoral Commission in the window that they have opened for registration that I'm over 18. This is the evidence I'm over 18. So Mrs. Christina Mwakuno or Mrs. Emma Mitchell will arrive at the NDC headquarters and said, I want to vote. She may be qualified, but she has to register. They will be the unidentified person. Dr. Duffour is saying that the full extent of the number of unidentified persons can be determined once the full audit and verification is conducted and when the register is closed. It goes on to say that 46% of the register cannot be validated with correct voter ID, party ID, photos, gender, age, polling station, name of polling station, etc. 46%. That's significant. It would appear that they've done quite some interesting work, but you can't put that beyond them. Dr. Duffour and his son, Kwabena Duffour, both hold PhDs in economics. So economics is big on research. It doesn't surprise me that they are adding the research value to the campaign. That's very interesting. That's the things that all of us applaud when the campaign is becoming better for both parties, wherever you are. This is proper work that has been done, but he's not standing at a press conference and shouting, I've been cheated. He's giving you the details of what has happened, that 26% of this, they've done the work. That's very important for the quality and the qualitative nature of our politics. Our politics must move from the things we see, the yellow politics must stop. And let's have this kind of analysis. Somebody is making a complaint about a fundamental issue, but he's done the work so well that he's telling you that it's very simple for you to verify. I have seen 46% like this, 54% like this, 26% like this. I cannot countenance this. I have to go to court. It shares with the party. And I think that is better politics. Okay, 46% of the register cannot be validated with the correct ID. We don't know whether that's true or not. So now here's an example. So please put this up for viewers to see it. All right. So viewers, follow me on the television. So this is the problem. Now the first row is correct. The middle one is wrong, and the last one is correct. Okay. So and I'd like to see, producer, I'd like to see the other pages of this. As I move from here, I want another one like this. Let's give them some more examples before we move on to the text. So if you look at the first one, viewers, the guy to the left of your screen is called Mr. Akawakiri Martin Akawakiri. Now, here is age 51. He is male. His party ID is over there. His position is secretary. Now, because the delegates list is fixed, you have to say the position that you are. His constituency will be there, and he will say secretary. All right. To the right-hand side on the same screen, the name is Asakibim. Dennis Asakibim Abochi. Dennis Asakibim Abochi. He's the guy. His position is organizer. He's 33 years old. So that's correct. Viewers, follow me to the next level as Dr. Duffour puts it out in the information sent to the media and to the NDC. It is as follows. Now, that's where there's a problem. You see, now the gentleman, Agambiri Robert Agambiri, is 46 years old and he's male. And his photograph is there in the reddish shirt with the white color. Now, you shift to the right, you see another name. Ayindia Roja Anamu. His position is communication officer. Agambiri's position is treasurer. Look at the photograph of the people. It's the same person. Same photograph. Not just the same person, but actually the same photograph. Now, that's the problem. That's the concern. That's what Dr. Duffour is talking about. So here you see it. It's the same person. Same. The last one is also correct. So what they've done is that they've published several pages like that. They have, the middle is the wrong one, and then this is correct. Now, all of this is what they have identified, and they are relating it to 26%, 46%, 29%. That's the work that they've done. Okay, let's look at this one now. Thank you very much for putting it up. So here again, you will see that the same photograph is doing the identity Yes, thank you. Put it up like that for viewers to see. So the first one, the name is Abonenga Felix Atanga. So it's Felix Abonenga Atanga. His position is communication officer. He is 31 years old. And then the next one on the right, you see, it's a female women's organizer. Her name is Akaboti Felicia, and she's 39 years old. So that's correct. Now come to the middle one. That's where the problem is. And that's the way they've put all of these documents. Prepare at least a third one, then we look at it and move on. In the middle one, which is problematic, you see that the man is 38 years old. His name is Akogo James Atibiri. James Akogo Atibiri. He's the youth organizer in terms of position. He's 38 years old. Now look at the one next to him. You see Apala Atinga Li Bijia. Atinga Libijia, Apala Atingi Abijilia. She is also male, age 38, and the position is member. I'm not sure what member means, but you can see the same photographs. Viewers, I hope you can see that. The same photograph. So that's the problem, and they've tabulated all of these things, and they are saying that the occurrences of these discrepancies is so significant that it could affect the chances of Dr. Kwabena Duffour. Now, let me look at this one. I'm not so sure. Okay, this one is at the end, isn't it? It's at the end. Again, the same photograph. So look at the last page of what is on the screen now. You will see here that the position, the last one, Isaac Nyani. Isaac Nyani is a youth organizer. He's 28 years old. And then you come here, you see Alfred Zogodo. He is 28 years old, but it's the same photograph. Absolutely the same photograph. So this is the issue. This is the concern of Dr. Duffour. We don't have time to show you all, but that's why we showed you the introduction where it says that this one is this thing constitutes about 50-something% of the delegates and etc. etc. So I think I have another one here. Let's look at it. Okay. So this is very interesting as well. Look at the first page. This one is problematic, at least in all three. So let's look at what is problematic about this. Another example of the kinds of different anomalies and discrepancies that the Duffour team is identifying in the voters register, for which reason they are written to the NDC and they are seeking a court injunction right now. Okay, so look at the first one. Amanyan Nathaniel. Name Nathaniel Nyan Ama. Photograph clearly a woman, or something. The photograph appears to be a woman. That's how lawyers say it. That's how this. I can't say the photograph is a woman. I will say the photograph appears to be a woman, because I cannot necessarily accuse the NDC of doing something wrong. I don't have the conclusion for that. The one who can accuse the NDC is the court. So if I stand on TV, I say, hey, look, there is a woman. They can come after me. I have to choose my words well. If journalists are listening, this is what we do. That's why we've been doing it for 20 years successfully by the grace of God. You have seen a woman. So what you say is the photograph appears to be a woman. It doesn't mean that you don't know it's a woman. You are giving the courts the room to come to that conclusion that this is a woman and it is wrong. That's not my conclusion. It has to be the court's conclusion. I can suggest it to the court that, honorable court, does this not look like a woman? And then they can interrogate it. They may even bring experts to look at it. All that has to be done because you want to verify something. It's very, very important. Okay. So in this one, the name is Ama Nathaniel. Obviously looks like a man's name. The photograph appears to be a woman. Okay, let's look at the next one on the right hand side. Name Akosua Ejapon. Hey, I know Akosua Ejapon. Oh. There's a musician Akosua Ejapon, and there's our friend in New York, Akosua Ejapon, whose relative is our producer. So yes, there's Akosua Ejapon here. But viewers, have a look at it. Akosua Ejapon. Can you put it on for viewers to see again? I'm sure they can see it though. But yes, Akosua Ejapon. The photograph there appears to be a man, but the name is Akosua. Can you insist that because the name is Akosua, that the guy can say he is called Akosua? What are you going to do? That he was named after his mother. His mother is Akosua. He is Akosua. What are you going to do? You stand in court and you go and accuse somebody. The guy comes and says, He says, but you're a criminal. Why do you say your name is Akosua? I say, but my lord, my name is Akosua. He said, is your name Akosua? I was named after my grandmother. So you are Akosua what? I'm Akosua Japan. He said, and you are a boy. What's your house name? He says, Akosua. He says, what day were you born? He said, I was born on Thursday, but I was named after my grandmother. And your grandmother is called Akosua. He said, okay, so if your grandmother were called Lucy, would they call you Lucy? He says, yes. If my parents wanted that, they'll call me Lucy. So, I mean, if you've traveled to, in fact, even in Akan, I was going to say in Walter Ridge, but in Akan, Nyameche and Nyameche. Nyameche is woman, Nyameche is man. These days, Nyameche is woman, Nyameche is man. When we were growing up, Nyameche was man only. But now, Nyameche is woman, Nyameche is man. Asamoah is woman, Asamoah is man. Osepoku is woman, Osepoku is man. You can say that's a surname. But a Nyameche can be a first name. Okay? So, this man is called Akosua Ejapon. You will have to find him and ask him to bring his Ghana card for you to see whether the Ghana card is Akosua Ejapon. It is only then that the court can say that you are presenting multiple identity. The court is going to subpoena his Ghana card. And if the Ghana card comes and his name is James Boateng, then the court is going to say you have multiple identity. But until then, we commentators see that this one, he appears like a man. All right, look at the middle. The name is Isaac Nyameche. I was just talking about Nyameche. I hadn't even looked at it. Viewers, have you seen it? I was in the spirit. You see, I was just talking about, I just had used Nyameche as an example. But there's Isaac there. How do you determine that this woman's name is not Isaac Nyameche, and that presents Isaac Nyameche means that she's a fraud? You're accusing her wrongly. She can sue you. So all we say is that the name is Isaac Nyameche. It's a bit curious because the photograph appears like a woman. Yes, the photograph appears like a woman, but the name is Isaac Nyameche. So it needs some more further interrogation. I think that's what Dr. Duffour is sharing. Then we have Abdullahi Suleimana. Now, this one, how do you know is a man? Abdullahi Suleimana. Sounds like a man's name. Position is chairman, but it's a woman's photograph. That what appears there looks like a woman's photograph. And then this one also, you have Joshua Yorson, the one down. Joshua Yorson. And then there's a woman's photograph there. But the one I like most is the one on the left. Gifty Ban. I love the guy. Look, just have a look at him. Nice guy. Gifty Ban. Cool. Age 27. Sex male. Position treasurer. Sex male. Position treasurer. Name Gifty Ban. Sex male. Name Gifty Ban. I like the guy. He's called Gifty Ban. Please, I have not said he's lying. I have not said he has defrauded. Dr. Duffour is in court. The court will help us resolve all these things. But this guy, Gifty Ban, thumbs up, yeah? Thumbs up. Let me just remind you, Gifty Ban, that Manchester City were able to hold Real Madrid to a 1-1 draw at the Bernabeu, all the way in Spain. They thought that Manchester City cannot do. Manchester City did this. Gifty Ban, oh, but why have they taken Gifty Ban? It's my friend. Gifty Ban, but which constituency is it, Kra? It is High Tension Pentecost Church, Aigbe Town. I'll go there. Please, Aigbe Town. Gifty Ban, I'm coming there. He's my man. He's my friend. Gifty Ban. Yeah, correct. All right. So let's move. Give me another one. Give me another one. Give me some interesting ones. Hey, this pretty lady is called Charles Essel. Hey, Asembebao. This one will bring matter. This problem will bring matter. Oh, I like the lady. She's at Cocoa Shed, SHS in Poho. She's 19 years and she's female. Her name is Charles Essel. Oh, Charles. Charlie, how are you? Okay, let's see the next one. Another lady, she looks like an athlete of sorts from what she's wearing. 20-year-old. Maybe she's in the sportswear. She's communication officer. Her sex is female. Her name is Emmanuel Kwebedu. Hey, Emmanuel. God is with us. Emmanuel, God is with us. Okay, but as for Gifty Ban, please note it down. I need to go and see him. Gifty Ban. This one is also called sex is female, age is 22. Her name is James Cosmos Edu. Hey, James. This slightly elderly looking lady is 65 years old. Her position is secretary, but her name is Jonathan Tete Pediator. That's complicated. These ones are correct. Okay, so now we know what Dr. Duffour is claiming. It's going to be interesting. Let's see what the court does. Let's see how the court injuncts it. Are we all done with Dr. Duffour? Is there anything else that we need to look at? Dr. Duffour issues, they will put it up if there's something else for us to look at. Otherwise, we'll be moving to our next story as it's past 10 o'clock here on Good Evening Ghana. It's live. I'm sure the text messages have started coming. Please get it ready and read relevant text messages and the ones that make our program more interesting. Are we done? Are we done with the... Oh! You see, this is my producer. I won't mind him. I won't mind him. I have not asked for this photograph. I have not asked for it. Why? I've finished discussing Dr. Duffour. Then you come and put this photograph there. Now, this photograph connects to something with Dr. Duffour is coming into my mind. You see, I've been reading the social media. I do that often. I'm always on social. You want to reach me, you can send a text to my WhatsApp or anything. I'm always there. Okay. So I was looking at the thing, the Dr. Duffour versus the NDC contest. And you know how the NDC Mahama boys are referring to Dr. Duffour? It's not good at all. They refer to him as Ghana at 80. Yes, I saw it on social media. I looked at it, I shook my head. I said, is that how to run the competition? Well, I've seen Dr. Duffour put up a poster in an interview. He said that Moses was 80 when God selected him. That's reference to something. You can also reference that it's not true. John Kennedy was 40 years when he became America's best president. Somebody will say, it doesn't matter. Wasn't Reagan 80 years old? Somebody will say, how old is Biden? Somebody will say, how old is Trump? And he wants to run again. You can make that argument. But don't say Dr. Duffour is Ghana at 80, because one day, you too, you'll be 80. Maybe you may not even get there. Maybe you may not get there. So when you see a man who is 80, you don't pass catcall comments on him and say Ghana at 80. It is a child that's obinye bida. A child obiya bida, but penny de obinye bida. So when you see a penny and you're an NDC person, don't jump into the fray of the disrespectful talk. No. You can deal with Dr. Duffour. Dr. Duffour, I don't agree with you. This thing you are doing, you're just doing it to derail John Mahama. We will not allow you to destroy our party. You can say all that, but don't call him Ghana at 80. That is very, very bad. Very, very bad. Anyway, Professor Phoebe is 80, you see. And I was talking to my producer about, I won't say anything. I won't say anything. But I was discussing with him, you see. So he's put this up just to put me in a corner, because I share some things with him. And he said, boss, but can you share these things on a touch screen? I said, oh, I can't say these things publicly. He said, oh, try and say small. I said, no, I can't. He said, oh, but you have a way of coding it to say it. People won't know. I said, no, this one is just between me and you. I can't tell the world. Then, as I'm just turning away, you look at what he has done. Let's put a thing there. So what should I do? Good evening, Professor Phoebe. You look great at 80. What's the lady's name? I like her dress, though. I like her dress. What's her name again? I don't know. But this is the marriage of Professor Dominic Phoebe. Social media is, that's the, look, they're dancing. Hey. This COVID has brought matters. So this COVID, it has brought plenty issues. Anyway, that's Professor Dominic Phoebe over there. Viewers, by text people, do you have your text messages ready? It's okay. Bring the thing back to the studio. Why somebody is dancing with his new wife? Why are you showing it plenty on TV like that? You will see us all. You come and tell us that he did private wedding, he didn't do a public wedding. Why are we showing it on TV? And then we have to be apologizing every day. Please, we don't want to apologize about that. But good evening to Professor Dominic Phoebe, and congratulations. So that's the Dr. Duffour story. Do you want us viewers to take a break first before we look at the text messages, or should we look at the text messages first before we take the break? Now this is interesting. How do I, our TVs are not interactive. So if we're interactive, like as soon as I've said it, you see the red blinking, and the police will tell me that they are saying red, so let's take the break. Or they are saying green. We'll get there. We'll definitely get there. But now when I talk to you, I can't get a response. I can see you in your homes in the spirit. You can see me in the physical. I can see you in the spirit. But when I talk, people say, and I call you on TV, you don't mind, and I just smile. And it's meant for a joke. We all smile. I love you, all those people who see me in town and say that I was calling you on TV. And those who are watching the program and are appreciating the depth of work that we do to bring out explanations and to bring out meanings. The politics is important. We will not stop it. But essentially, we want to educate and we want to bring out the information. So that's our call to duty. 10 minutes past 9 o'clock. I think that we'll take the break. We're tired, isn't it? We'll take a short break. When we come back, the phone lines, the text messages, then we go to the John Mahama citizenship story. We have a lot to say about that. Then the Attorney General's advice to Parliament about the LGBT bill. What are the details in that? It's still Good Evening Ghana is live after the break.
Dummy dribbles to the right. He's got an opportunity on the edge of the penalty box. He's gone past the defense. This must surely be it. Goal! It's a goal! With only 150 pesos, you can win up to 16.5 million Ghana cedis in the Betway Atina Ketia Jackpot. A jackpot muhine. Bet responsibly, not for persons under the age of 18. This advert has been approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana.
Do you need a place with a stunning view and serene environment just beneath the Green Mountains with a commercial center and recreational area with an amazing park? Then look no further.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Welcome to Rehoboth Havens, the most affordable yet luxurious gated community located in Duffour, Accra. We have 2 and 3 bedroom houses with spacious park. Let me show you. All of our rooms come with beautiful porcelain tiles, durable fitted kitchen cabinets,
constant water supply,
electricity and water 24/7.
I'm buying this house. Stop processing my papers. Move it, move it. If you're living in Ghana and want an affordable and luxurious house to buy, look no further than Rehoboth Social Housing Limited. Oh, and to those from the diaspora, aren't you tired of living in places that doesn't belong to you? You can also own your house and be your own landlord from Rehoboth Social Housing Limited. I have my own, Bosu Landlord.
Contact us now. Rehoboth Social Housing. Your housing dream becomes reality.
Every young woman in Ghana is going to be empowered enough to be the light and the heart of our society.
I am committed to ensuring that these NGOs are supporting government efforts and not the opposite.
We have developed a very effective cycle of admitting and rehabilitating young women in need.
I don't want to be your soldier. I don't just want to be in the program. I want to be by your side.
Get her ready.
You're saved and you're brought here to make something of yourself. Only rule is that you stay as good girls. Our investigations here focus on organizations with a seemingly clean sheet.
You will fail. You know why? Because I never lose.
I wish to encourage all employees.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Thank you very much for your time. It's always a pleasure to bring you the show. Now, we had a video come to us. So we have a portal where all the reporters who work here can send us a video when they've done a report somewhere or they cover something. They put it in the system, and then we look at it and decide for us for Good Morning Ghana and Good Afternoon Ghana. We look at it and decide which. So you see some videos on Good Morning Ghana. You see Good Morning Ghana gives Dr. Balmi a lot of pressure. They say he promised this. All that video is on the portal. We come and we select the video that we want. They can select, and we try and do the broadcasting in the best way possible. So we have this video, yeah. It's by Koko Anyidoho. It's 1 minute long. I have to say that he expresses some views about Mahama. Those are his views. But again, it's public interest. So here is a video of Koko Anyidoho. After that, we take the text messages on the Duffour story. And then the Koko Anyidoho video is about John Mahama. I'm sure some of you have seen it already. He has an interesting calculation of how John Mahama has been at the helm of affairs for 500 years or so, and he still wants to be president. Something ridiculous like that. 500 years is an obvious joke. Here's the video.
Yentu ohina kunyaso ensanfano be see akunyaso eye no me. Another one spiritually is that this sword that we hold, that the presidents hold to swear the oath of office. Pastor, spiritually, you can hold it only twice. Jerry Rawlings held it twice, 92, 96. President Duffour held it twice, 2000, 2004. President Mills held it once, he died, he left. John Mahama, on the 9th of 24th July 2012, you held the sword of state and you swore an oath. On the 7th of January 2013, you held the sword of state and swore an oath. You held it twice. Why do you want to hold it 3 times and be a curse upon the country? He cannot. Nanado has held it twice. He can't hold it the 3rd time. Why does John Mahama think that Ghana was created for him and that he will come and mess the nation up spiritually and physically? It won't happen. It cannot happen. Yentu ohina kunyaso ensanfano be see akunyaso eye no me. Another one spiritually is that this sword that we hold, that the presidents hold to swear the oath of office. Pastor, spiritually, you can hold it only twice. Jerry Rawlings held it twice, 92, 96. President Duffour held it twice, 2000, 2004. President Mills held it once, he died, he left. John Mahama, on the 9th of 24th July 2012, you held the sword of state and you swore an oath. On the 7th of January 2013, you held the sword of state and swore an oath. You held it twice. Why do you want to hold it 3 times and be a curse upon the country? He cannot. Nana has held it twice. He can't hold it the 3rd time. Why does John Mahama think that Ghana was created for him and that he will come and mess the nation up spiritually and physically? It won't happen. It cannot happen.
Okay, so that was Koko Anyidoho's comments about President John Dramani Mahama. Now we take the text messages. We begin with Fatih. What are people saying? And after that, we go and consider the story on the second matter of the citizenship. Tonight, we'll look at the Attorney General's, the provision, the paragraph, the clauses in the Attorney General's advice that went to Parliamentary Subcommittee on LGBT. But here is our first line of text messages, and Fatih will read the first one.
Right, thank you, Paul. So my first message is from Gastiman. There is an elimination by tactics. Mahama knows his own people don't trust him, so he's doing anything possible and massively. That's a shame. These same people will turn around and insult Jane Mensah and the Electoral Commission. From Senior Boatin, JM wants to use the NDC flag bearership race to rehearse a rigging scheme. Once it proves successful, they are likely to replicate same in the general election. We, the supporters of Dr. Duffour, won't sit aloof for this to fester. And I'll take my next message from David. NDC is sitting on a time bomb waiting to explode. Factions developing every day, cracks deepening from national level to polling station level. I don't think NDC is an alternative Ghanaians want. And I'll take my last message from Alhaji Bob Sidi. Paul, assalamu alaikum and good evening to you and your viewers. The NDC is queuing harder to make John Mahama win the primaries. However, Dr. Duffour can never win John Mahama, but he will shake him just a little. Even yes and no gave Mahama sleepless nights in the last primaries. Dr. Duffour should get some hot cocoa and drink and wait for Baumia to retire John Mahama for him in 2024. Antoinette.
Okay, so this is coming from Bennett Danso. He says, good evening, Paul. No Ghanaian should be surprised at the bloated delegate register that has been mischievously put together by the NDC party executives to rig the elections for their favorite candidate, even though they claim that John Mahama is going to win their party presidential primaries by a landslide. Justin Benzema says the NDC is incompetent even in opposition. Just look at how they compiled a simple party album. No wonder they couldn't compile their 2020 election results and they ended up disgracing themselves in court. Master Planner Jr. watching us from Kintampo says, common party register the NDC could not compile. How much more election result? Dr. Duffour's research team should be used by the NDC in the general elections because they are way better than Mahama's team. They are very vigilant and efficient. Greetings to Honorable Jerry Ahmed. Watson Downs says, as for Gifty Ban, I believe it's because he loves his wife, which is why he used his wife's picture. Lily Wu says, hey, so now Akosa is a masculine name, eh? Hey, the NDC. Senior Watson says the NDC wants to rule Ghana again, and people do not understand why Ghanaians should be interested in their internal elections. I dare ask, in which country's election will the flag bearer of the NDC contest? Over to you.
All right, so Paul, this is coming from Ni Oko Ochima. He says that Dr. Kwabena Duffour is very right to send this issue to court. They are doing everything to let old Mahama win greed in Kwan. This one is coming from Ernest Menu. He says that, Massa, tell NDC that he who preaches equity must come with clean hands. Tell them that they don't have to worry us with easy mechanism. They don't have to worry us with easy mechanism. Shame, Akwaba. This is coming from Odeneho Ajimansenya. NDC executives know their people don't like reading. But this one doctor and his team have done a great job to expose their leaders. No wonder they couldn't collate their pink sheets. This is coming from Master Planner Junior Kintampo. He says that common party register, the NDC cannot compare it accurately. How much more election results? All right, so this one is coming from Senior Richard Afo. He says that NDC is Ghana's problem. That is why he is discussing them. NDC wants to rule Ghana again, and people don't understand why Ghanaians should be interested in their internal elections. I dare ask, in which country's election will the flag bearer of the NDC contest? Over to you, Mikhail.
Right, Joe. excuse me, Joe Dakota watching us from Esikadu says, the Mahama factions will always play the dirty games to run down other candidates competing with the former president. Right. This says, what is happening in the NDC is just like the turning and turning around in the lightning jar, and the falcon cannot hear the falconer, and the center cannot hold. Things are falling apart in the NDC. Managing just a little over 300,000 people, the NDC cannot manage. Paul, do you truly believe the NDC can manage this country for a positive result under John Mahama in the unlikely event that they win 2024? And Jude, watching us from Domi, says, and this is in relation to the former minister's wife, he says that the lady is a nurse, and he goes on to mention her age, which I cannot mention on air. Emmanuel from Joulu says, hey, Professor Phoebe. Abdul Zati from Bolgatanga says, educative program as usual. Looking at this issue, Dr. Duffour is very right. However, the so-called JDMs are assuring and hoping that GM will win. So what are all these illegalities about? Moreover, we were told after the meeting today, they couldn't wait for a response from the party led by Free Ankara at the meeting and went ahead to publish this. This forced the party leadership to ignore the grievances. Now, Colin Sesama says, Paul, when are you bringing Dr. Educhum to the studio? And Dastin Kun says, Sami Jemfi's posture depicts Asembaba Debi, and Haruna's posture depicts, this is a message and I can't read it too well. Anyway, Prince Darko says, Haruna cannot hide beef, Krao. And lastly, Patrick Owusu-Enim says, good evening, Paul. I will encourage Dr. Kwabena Duffour to stand firm against the mafia tactics of the national executives. If Mahama feels he's strong and can win the election, then he should allow their elections to be free and fair. And he says, greetings to Justin Kodra from Pong.
This is coming from David Newton. He says that last week he did inform us that by Tuesday a communique will come from Duffour camp. Truly today we have seen it. God bless you, Paul. And this is coming from Kwanda Sky 1. Funny, I personally believe it when GM said he has no enemy in the northern region. Oh, yes, he just doesn't want his northern brothers to excel like he did in politics. If one may ask, what at all in Ghana politics is yet to be achieved by GM? He has achieved everything, so he is simply fighting some key individuals who are likely to climb the ladder like him. He simply wants only him and his name to be mentioned in the north. Simple. Haruna is a nice player in the north. A word to the wise is enough. Apostle Paul Adam Ochre say shout out to me. I'm surprised at how the NDC is trying not to be democratic at all. Thank you. Over to you, Paul. He's called Ibn Alidu.
Yeah, he also said
Yes.
Alidu, thank you very much for watching our show. Alidu, happy birthday. All I can say to you is that God bless you abundantly and may you become whatever you want to become. But always remember, power to the people. Power to the people, Alidu. Power to the people. Power to the people. That's our mantra. Somebody sent me a text. He says that, hello, Paul, did you hear what your friend Due Respect said about you? Due Respect. No, I didn't hear. What did he say? Okay. And then he said, did you hear what your friend Due Respect says about you? Then he asked laughter. He said, by watching your friend Due Respect, I think he's really learning from you, trying to package a few graphics, but it's just very awfully, I can't. Anyway, that's somebody's production. We don't want to talk about that. I don't know why they call him Due Respect. Yes, Nanabi.
Yes, well, I just love how Dr. Duffour's team put up such a massive and a very intellectual way of proving that, I mean, there's stealing or there's sort of trying to rig something for someone. Because if you're talking about maybe, let's say when I ran for the election and then
when you started, I knew you were coming to
the going to talk about it. I thought we were going to connect it with
yes.
it. So I think that is something that we, the young politicians, or even the politicians, should learn. If you want to put out that, okay, so I feel this place, there is something going on there. Bring facts that shows that, I mean, qualitative facts and quantitative facts that can prove that indeed such thing is happening. And I think Dr. Duffour has really done well. That is intellectual output. God bless him so much.
What was your favorite subject at School of Admin?
School of Admin.
Yes.
It was accounting. My best course was accounting.
Accounting.
Yeah.
So you like accounting for issues.
Exactly.
Okay, right. It's 25 minutes past 10 o'clock. We are almost running out of time, especially on the LGBT. Maybe we'll take the advice of some of our researchers on LGBT and look at it and do it properly on Tuesday. But we'll see how it goes. We have what was it? Oh, let me grab my phone again. Sorry, viewers. Let me just grab my phone. I always need it by my side because those of you who talk to me is the phone. when they send me the thing, then somebody comes to stand in front of me and says that somebody says you should look at your phone. So when you can't get me, they call the MCR and say, tell Paul that I've sent him a message. So I always need my phone by my side. Okay, viewers, thank you very much for your time. And we have this second, let's take a decision. This citizenship issue, the President Mahama one. Should we do the LGBT instead? We have a second break. Let's take the break and make that quick conference and decide what we do. And look at how our viewers were responding to the flyer and see which one we do. So viewers, on that note, we'll take a short break, 2 minutes. We just want to discuss, should we do the John Mahama citizenship or should we do the LGBT? When we come back, we'll have made the decision. Next time we'll have interactive. Red will be, next story is John Mahama citizenship. And then green is, next story is Attorney General's document. Just give us the green button. By now we'll be seeing it and we know where the majority is going. But we're going to get there with digitalization. Okay, after the break, we'll be right back.
Done. He dribbles to the right. He's got an opportunity on the edge of the penalty box. He's gone past the defense. This must surely be it. Goal! It's a goal!
With only 1 city 50 pesos, you can win up to 16.5 million Ghana cedis in the Betway Atina Ketia jackpot. Jackpot muhine. Bet responsibly, not for persons under the age of 18. This advert has been approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana.
Do you need a place with a stunning view and serene environment just beneath the Green Mountains with a commercial center and recreational area with an amazing park? Then look no further.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Welcome to Rehoboth Havens, the most affordable yet luxurious gated community located in Duffour, Accra. We have 2 and 3 bedroom houses with spacious park. Let me show you. All of our rooms come with beautiful porcelain tiles, durable fitted kitchen cabinets,
constant water supply,
electricity and water 24/7.
I'm buying this house. Stop processing my papers. Move it. If you're living in Ghana and want an affordable and luxurious house to buy, look no further than Rehoboth Social Housing Limited. Oh, and to those from the diaspora, aren't you tired of living in places that doesn't belong to you? You can also own your house and be your own landlord from Rehoboth Social Housing Limited. I have my own Bosu landlord.
Contact us now. Rehoboth Social Housing. Your housing dream becomes reality.
Ghana, a patron of the land.
And I know that some people like conspiracy theories, and this one doesn't like this one and this one are quarreling. Count me out. I have no enemy in the northern region. All of them are my younger brothers. Hudu Yaya and Co started it. And then we are the next generation after Hudu and Co. And I know that Haruna and all of them are the next generation after us. We will finish and hand over the power to them. They would lead us. And so let us all be together. Those who have been putting out conspiracy theories, hiding and recording tapes and insulting everybody. If you are a true NDC, what you are doing is rather dividing the party, not uniting it. If you are a true NDC and you are hiding and you are recording audios insulting your fellow NDC, then what you are doing is you are dividing the party, you are not uniting the party. And so we are united. There is no problem between us. And we're going to work together. We're going to win the election of 2024 and we're going to put Ghana back on its feet. I thank you very much. Now,
Ghana, of the truck of the land, forward and secure future. People love our goal. From being to be free, NDC shall lead to stable democracy. Ghana, our safety.
Okay, welcome back to the show. So in our discussion of the camera and behind the scenes, we agreed that the citizenship issue is the long drawn out issue. It's not as controversial as when President Mahama first said it, because the bill is already in Parliament. Maybe on Thursday we'll treat it in a more substantial matter, because we want to see the provisions of the amendment and what is to replace it and all those details. We are finding out that the letter is going to the Council of State a long time ago. All right, we'll see how it goes. People want us to discuss the LGBT. So tonight we're going to look at the LGBT matter in multiple dimensions. And as I was saying, on the 5th of April, I had a conversation with some people in Accra that introduced other dimensions to the LGBT, because I believed, and many people do believe, that the LGBT issue is black and white. Those of us who say we don't want LGBT, we don't want the LGBT society to advocate anything here. We also don't want gay marriages to occur here, but we believe that they shouldn't be attacked and abused and beaten up, because that is a crime. Now, the fact that they shouldn't be attacked and beaten up, it being a crime, is also a crime in the Criminal Offences Act. Same for an armed robber. If you catch an armed robber, you cannot beat him. If you beat an armed robber, the police can charge you for assault and battery. They can. So anybody that you see in the process of committing a crime, you cannot take the law into your own hands and administer punishment onto the person. You may arrest the person if you can, or you report the person to the police. So that's expected of when you see one committing sodomy. The principle that underpins that is the same thing as I said. The principle that underpins that is that it is only the High Court or any court that can make a determination of a crime. Crimes are written in the Criminal Offences Act for the courts to determine, not for Paul Adomochi to determine, or Sepoku to determine, or Kofi Mensah, or it was my friend, the NDC guy, the man with the woman's name. Gifty Ban. Yeah, it's not what Gifty Ban will decide. It's not what Paul Adomochi will decide. It's what the court will decide. So that is why you cannot believe that somebody is committing a robbery so you harm him. You have questions to answer before the court. Same with LGBT. So we think that side is not complicated, that we shouldn't be beating them. We know that already. But the complicated argument is this: whether or not some people, a certain percentage of them, are born like that, and what should we do with it? It appears to me that the bill itself considers that, because the bill talks about rehabilitation of some of them who want to come out. And usually, if it is true that people are born like that, I don't know, but there's a strong argument that the persons may be born like that. I have been involved in a private family conversation, extended family conversation, where this discussion occurred, that person X, could he have been born like that? Should he be corrected? I've seen people say that the correction has worked. So there's a way in which it can be corrected. For those who believe that they have seen a gay child and they have managed to correct it by the time he became a teenager. So it's all interesting like that. But then those people who think that there are 0.5% of people who are born gay, they also don't think that there should be advocacy. It's the advocacy that is the problem for everyone. So it looks like all the strands of the argument are united against advocacy of the LGBT stuff. I have 3 videos to show you, viewers. Let's start with this one, where a school in the United Kingdom calls a parent, tells the parent that your daughter is out of step on the LGBT issues. The parent, a Nigerian lady, defends the daughter. He defends the daughter that yes, what she said was right. Have a look at this video. It's 5 minutes long. Have a look.
Hi, is that Miss Sophie Lynch? Yeah, speaking. How are you? I'm fine, thank you. How are you? Good. I'm good, thank you. I just wanted to give you a quick call about Olivia. Is now a good time to speak? Yes, please. Okay. So I just wanted to speak about something that happened in tutorial time this morning. Okay. So students were discussing, because in tutorial resources we kind of speak about lots of different topics, and today's topic was about the decision of Uganda introducing the death penalty for kind of aggravated homosexuality. And so Olivia's form tutor kind of was encouraging discussions and asking the students, what do you think about this? Do you agree with it? And then Olivia said, oh, it's their country. They can do what they like. I agree. And so Mr. Benet challenged her on that, about why she felt that way. And then Olivia then proceeded to say that being gay is a sin she was referring to. She said it's a sin. So she said when she was challenged by her form tutor that by saying that being gay is a sin, that is a homophobic comment to make. Her understanding of being homophobic is hating gay people and kind of being violent or acts of hatred towards them. But sorry, I'm just clearing my throat. No, it's okay, no problem at all. But basically, because she was in tutorial time, and Olivia has outwardly said in that tutorial time that being gay is a sin, she has been given a day of 2 days in the inclusion room as a sanction for this. Why has she been? I'm sorry. Okay, sorry, carry on. I'm listening. Sorry. I'm just about to explain. Okay, right. So I'm trying to. I've had a conversation with her this morning, and I'll have another conversation with her at the end of the day today. Okay. Because we're trying to really explain to Olivia. You know, I said, break it down for me. What is a sin? Can you define what a sin is to me? And she said, oh, it's something kind of negative, it's something bad, and that if you do that, then you go to hell. And she explained it in that way. And so I was trying to make her understand that I completely respect her religious views, but by saying in the tutorial time that being gay is a sin, that is showing prejudice, and it's saying a negative thing about being gay. And as a Christian school and a Christian academy, as you're aware, part of our ethos is being kind and accepting of others. And so you have to appreciate that in that form room, you know, there may be students that are gay and they would feel quite uncomfortable in that situation, and for any kind of homophobic language or racist language, it's the same. We give a sanction of 2 days, and that's the reason why she's got a sanction of 2 days. Okay, all right, okay. Have you finished, Miss Lynch? Yeah, I finished. Okay, all right. Olivia is not having the inclusion, right? First of all, right, she was asked, right, her opinion, and she gave her honest opinion. I, for one, do not encourage any form of discrimination, right? And again, when she said it's a sin, she's coming from a religious perspective, as opposed to, you know, okay, this is what I personally feel. Now, if Mr. Barney, is that his name, did not want an opinion, then he should not have asked her. So basically, right, and don't get me wrong, I do,
hear what you're saying, right? That there may be some pupils in the class that may be, you know, gay. I do get that. And they may feel offended, right? But a question was asked of her. And I'm sure in your tutorial classes, right, or just generally with your pupils, you encourage them to speak their mind, right? Now, if she wasn't asked, she would not have said anything. So it's not like she's gone and she's, insulting, left, right, and center, be it a black person, a gay person, or whatever sort of person, be it whatever. She's not doing that. She's giving her honest opinion, and she's being penalized for that. And it's coming from a religious background. Because if I'm not sure if you're a Christian, right? Now, this is my take. Right, I'm a Christian, and we know in the Bible it's a sin. Then again, I'm not God. God judges. That doesn't mean we cannot love everyone, gay, straight, or whatever. God judges. But she was asked a question. So why is she being penalized for answering a question honestly? So I'm sorry, but I'm refusing that she does not do any inclusion. It's not fair. It's not fair.
So you had a parent, a Nigerian parent, obviously from her accent, who is quarreling with the English school. Her daughter was asked that on a religious basis, what do you see about LGBT? She expressed her opinion, and they are punishing her. You had her mother's very strong views. Now I'm taking you, that was in the United Kingdom, now I'm taking you to the United States. The impression has been largely created that the LGBT lobby, it's covering 80% of America. Apparently that's not true. There's a large part of American society that are also very concerned about the advocacy and the gender changes and transgender, and they are quite concerned about all of that. And the fundamental question is that if you want to practice gay, you can do it. But you cannot tell us to put it in our curricula. You cannot tell us to teach our children that and have centers where 8-year-old children can go and say that I feel like I'm in a wrong body. So, and you are inviting children to come to these centers, whether it's at the Ministry of Education, whether it's at the Ghana Education Service, anything concerned with education cannot teach LGBT, etc. So you can teach two genders, man and woman. You can have sex education and all of that they do at the secondary schools. From the teenage level, they teach them all that. We were taught a bit of that by Mrs. Akoto, the biology teacher at Presec, my generation. She taught us all of that. We get very excited when she's talking about it. She's very professional. She doesn't laugh or smile when she's talking about organs and all of that. And we are like, we're just 10, 15 years old, with testosterone, small boys, and we are just excited. Okay, so that's what Mr. Akoto taught us. So I think they still do it. They probably do it in a better way than I was taught, because I'm old, so that's old. So they do it in a more modern way. Now, they cannot be allowed in that context to now tell children that there are some people who are not girl or boy. And I was impressed that this person I'm talking about, she just sent me a text. Very good lady, very exposed, particularly well exposed, very intelligent, a lawyer. She's always been saying that this our attitude to LGBT is really wrong. Some of them need help. They are born like that. It's like you are born with 4 fingers. It's like you are born with some deformity. It is a deformity, she recognizes. But the guy is born with it. Why are you beating him? Why are you killing him? Why are you telling him that he's not part of society? We shouldn't be saying that, she says. I think I can agree with that. Then I ask her, so should they be advocating? She says, no, they shouldn't be advocating. So I was impressed. I mean, for the first time I looked at, I thought, so it's not a black and white conversation, viewers. It's not we are LGBT and they are demons and they come from Lucifer, and yes, all that is possible because religiously we know that God says homosexuality is an abomination. Yes. But the things that God calls an abomination, he gives us the authority to change it because he gives us earth. So if people are truly born LGBT, we have the power to change it. But people cannot set up and say that I'm LGBT, that's what I want to do. So I want you to know that there's nothing wrong with it. No, there's something wrong with it. There's something wrong with it. But we don't hate the people who we find that have unfortunately been in this situation. But they cannot say there's nothing wrong with it. They cannot say it's my lifestyle, allow me to do it. And allow me to coalesce and demonstrate. The fight in Parliament is now urging to that. Should they be allowed to advocate? Okay, so these are also the arguments about the advocacy situation. I'll be coming to the Attorney General's bill in a minute. These are some of the arguments about advocacy. So the thing is a crime. It's prohibited under the Criminal Offences Act as sodomy. Can you advocate on a crime? No, the answer is no. It's a straightforward no. Can you advocate on armed robbery? Armed robbery is maybe far-fetched. But can you advocate on Any other thing that we call a crime, defrauding by false pretenses, what do you call it? Money laundering, what do you call it? The thing they were doing these days, the one they make money from, gold coin and what was it? Bitcoin on those things. Can you advocate Bitcoin? Is it money laundering? If something is money laundering, can you advocate on it? The answer is no. Okay. So can you advocate LGBT? The answer is no. That's straightforward. Okay. Now viewers, let's think about the other angle. If advocacy had not been raised for Trokosi, today, Trokosi will still be part of it. Trokosi was compulsory. Trokosi is cultural. Trokosi is not a crime. But people advocated against it. If we did not permit the advocacy against Trokosi, we would have been doing the Trokosi. So that's the point they are making. Albinos, till today, they are killed in parts of the world because they killed them. It's a deformity. He's born like that. But they kill them in some countries. I was going to mention some countries and I can't. But they kill them in those countries. Some African countries, some Asian countries, they are killing albinos. Should we mount an advocacy for albinos over there to tell them that they are human beings? Many, many years ago, they thought blacks were animals. They thought blacks were inferior, so they want to kill them. Adolf Hitler said that they are inferior, pump gas on them and let them die. Is it a deformity? No, it's not a deformity. People were able to resist the fact that the black skin is not a deformity. That's what the LGBT people are saying. That many years ago they said that black skin is a deformity. Now you are saying we are not deformity. We haven't gotten there yet. So for a country that says I don't want that, I'm very excited that everyone is against advocacy. I didn't know that. A few people are, but most of those people who even say that don't kill gay people, they are human beings, they are against advocacy. They are against gay marriages. As for the transgender, it's a problem. It's a real problem. Have a look at this video where a woman says she's become blind. She feels that she should be blind, so she has gone to remove her sight and she's blind. And she likes it. She's blind. That's what she was feeling, that she's blind. Is this sustainable over 10 years? Did God create any human being to want to be blind? So how are you going to sustain being blind? We read stories about transgender people who want to come back to the gender that they had moved. It's all so complicated, isn't it? Have a look at this video.
Do you have any regrets about taking your own vision or the process with which you did take your own vision?
I don't have any regrets taking my vision. I believe I should have been born blind, and I'm happy the way I am. I do have some regrets about the way I did it, but in the end, I'm happy the way I am.
Dr. Phil, with all due respect to Jewel, but I am having a really hard time sitting so close to someone who traumatized herself, who damaged herself. We took an oath in medicine to help people. We see horrible tragedies every single day as doctors, and people who would give anything to go back and restore their vision, their health. My heart is beating out of my chest. I can't even make sense of the emotions I'm feeling, because to hear someone say, I've always felt I should be blind. Well, I've always felt I should be the Queen of England, but I'm not going out to become the Queen of England.
As for this video, I think we should watch it again. It's short enough. Let's have a look at it again. Please play it again.
Hi, is that Miss Sophie Lynch?
Do you have any regrets about taking your own vision or the process with which you did take your own vision?
I don't have any regrets taking my vision. I believe I should have been born blind, and I'm happy the way I am. I do have some regrets about the way I did it, but in the end, I'm happy the way I am.
Dr. Phil, with all due respect to Jewel, but I am having a really hard time sitting so close to someone who traumatized herself, who damaged herself. We took an oath in medicine to help people. We see horrible tragedies every single day as doctors, and people who would give anything to go back and restore their vision, their health. my heart is beating out of my chest. I can't even make sense of the emotions I'm feeling, because to hear someone say, I've always felt I should be blind. Well, I've always felt I should be the Queen of England, but I'm not going out to become the Queen of England.
Wow, you heard that? That's very, very complicated, isn't it? It's very interesting. So the point we're making is that the stance of the debate is not black and white. There are those of us who think that LGBT is wrong, it's an abomination unto God, it's prohibited, it's against creation, it's against all the rights that God gave men. I mean, the historical God of Abraham. You may choose to be atheist, that you don't believe it, that's okay. But I'm saying that those who believe, those who subscribe to the historical God of Abraham, he said in the Bible, and those who subscribe to the Bible, that this is an abomination unto him. And what is the this is? The sodomy. Men having sex with women. In the Bible, that's the real example they give. We didn't show women having sex with women. They didn't show that. But angels came down. We all know the story. They wanted to have sex, and God said, it's an abomination unto me. Recently, we have seen those who think that there's no God. Recently in Latin America, Michael, I don't know where I saw that story. People who were celebrating Satan something on some boat, the next day they all died. Where? In Brazil. People who were celebrating, they put up human beings, normal human beings, nice people. They put up a carnival like what we do at the Polo Club at Christmas, if you see us there. And they are enjoying the carnival. And in that process, they were celebrating something they believe is Satan. The Satan they haven't seen before. They were celebrating him. The Satan they know that is a rival of the Almighty God. They were celebrating him. What happened? 2 days later, they all died. The news media didn't report it, and they didn't make the connection. They didn't. So those who think there's no God, that's fair enough. But there is a God. Hello? There is. Certainly. Nelson Mandela is going to be with him. Che Guevara is going to be with him. You still believe in 2023 with everything that has happened in the world that there is no God? Hey! We should pray for you. We'll pray for you. We'll pray for you. We'll pray for you. We'll pray for you. Okay, we will. Okay, so those who subscribe to the historical God like me believe that this is an abomination. However, in the context of the God, he advocates love. Love, the God says, is greatest. The greatest of all is love. Does love lead you to kill an LGBT person or to kill an albino? It doesn't. However, that love should prevent you or to aid you to discuss what are the acceptable principles of the society based on our history, where we have come from. That's very important. We'll be ending with the pages in Attorney General's document. That is great, but that's this is where we are so far. Mikhail, you were telling me about, so I was making the point when the video was playing. He was telling me that the point I make, that the laws criminalize the act of sodomy, which is a man having carnal knowledge of another. It criminalizes it. But it doesn't mean when you suspect somebody is doing it, or even you find somebody in the act and you are not the police, that you can beat the person up. No, you shouldn't. If you do that, you've committed a crime. I'm saying that it's a no-brainer as far as our Criminal Offences Act is concerned, because it's the same for everything. If you find me doing something wrong on the street, which is prohibited by the Criminal Offences Act, it is not in your place to then start throwing stones at me. If you do that, I report you to the police. You may go to jail, I may walk, even though I'm the one who was committing, quote unquote, a crime. So it's a no-brainer to say that we are not supposed to beat LGBT. We are not supposed to beat anybody that we perceive is committing a crime, because it's a high court that makes a determination ultimately. Now, he was telling me that the point that the LGBT people are making is that this very thing, this you calling sodomy a crime, it in itself is the hatred that you are spreading to those people. That you are calling the activity a crime is the hatred. Mikhail, give me some details. Well, how do they put it?
So here's the thing. They say that once you are homosexual, you identify as LGBT, it is your innate nature. So to say that you shouldn't live that way is you denying their nature. And so they say that in itself is an act of hatred. So for example, someone says he's transsexual, a man believes he's a woman. So he should, by virtue of his identifying as a woman, be then given access to gender-affirming therapy. That is, the sex changes, the hormones, the surgery to not look like a woman. If you say that a man shouldn't do that, it's an act of hatred. So now they're saying that there's no difference between you finding a homosexual on the street and beating him, and then you looking at a man saying, don't go and get surgery to become a woman, because that's his right. That's the thing. So once you say that they should not be allowed to do this, that's not enough. It's still hatred.
Abdul, I know you're a Muslim, so you're coming to it from a very strong position. But what do you have to add?
Yeah, so with what Michael is saying, if you listen to most liberals, especially in the UK and the US, what they say is that it is not only physical violence, it is also the act of denying their existence. So, for instance, like he mentioned, if I say I'm a transsexual, I'm a pansexual, or whatever it is, whatever sexual that I identify as, and you seem to question that sort of position that I've taken, it's an act of violence. And it's even
so that you should be allowed to take whatever sexual orientation position that you want.
And so if you question,
amazing.
Yes. So if you question that, it's an act of violence, and you are perpetrating violence by doing so. Even to ask what is a woman in today's world is seen as a transphobic question to ask. So there's nothing like
Let me ask another question that I want all of us and viewers to think about, and it's about this LGBT relating to the black community in the United States. We know that the black community are very religious. We know that, don't we? Now, they are religious because during the slave trade, the only thing they were allowed to do was religion. So that the early civil rights leaders of the black community in America were reverend ministers, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, all of them. And then also other religious leaders, Elijah Muhammad on the Muslim side, and Jesse Jackson on the Christian side. So blacks are intensely religious, divided into Muslim and Christian. The Christian religion, they practice the Christianity almost like the charismatic, drumming and all of that. But the black community in America, how many millions are they now? Somebody should Google how many black community are in America. They are approaching something like 50 million or so. The black community in America today are heavily aligned with the Democratic Party.
Yes.
Where all these liberal views are espoused, and they are protected, and they are promoted. Can somebody explain to us how a people are so intensely religious, either they are Muslim or they are Islam? Reverend Jesse Jackson will be against LGBT. Elijah Muhammad will be against it, and therefore Louis Farrakhan is against it. My friend, Louis Farrakhan's African minister, Akbar Muhammad, the Dr. Akbar Muhammad will be against it. But how come all of these persons, Louis Farrakhan sort of swings to the Republican a little bit because he spoke about this LGBT and broke ranks with the black community and supported Donald Trump in his bid on the basis that Hillary Clinton was pro-LGBT. Louis Farrakhan did that, so we can exclude Louis Farrakhan. But by and large, the black community is so heavily aligned to the Democratic Party. Can you think in your political science brain why this is happening?
So if you look at, the argument is that some scholars say that if you deny people freedom, okay, and they yearn for it, if you cannot give them direct freedom, you give them the symbols of freedom. Mm-hmm. And so once you present them with an idea of freedom, you can do what you want, you are free to do what you want, the masses are focused on that symbols of freedom. Mm-hmm. And so they forget the real issues. And that is why you see a lot of blacks, a lot of these people aligned with some of these. And so example is that there are so many poor people in the let me say, they call it the hood, mm-hmm. all right? But they think because they have someone like Michael Jordan playing at an elite level of football, so it's like, oh, they're also there.
Okay. So like we talk about Barack Obama.
Yes.
He became president.
So it's like, it's a symbol of freedom, of, let me say, empowerment. And so they forget the real issues. And so everybody is focused on, we are there, we are there. That's why you have serious economic issues, but you have the black community with wearing Jordans, expensive shoes and expensive things. Meanwhile, they cannot pay school fees. And so they think that it is, the symbols of freedom give them power. So he's able to wear Jordans.
Okay, so the person who is giving the symbols of freedom to them, those who give them the civil rights, the Democratic Party, they will support them.
They will support them
without looking into the detail of what they stand for.
So as another example is that if you talk about education and the fact that black kids...
Why does it transcend generations? Because when the civil rights was given, the generations of today were not born. Why, those who are talking wearing the Jordan, they are the generations of today. They have come to hear about Reverend Jesse Jackson and the March on Washington. They've heard about Harry Belafonte. They've heard about Muhammad Ali. They've heard about Elijah Muhammad. They've heard about Carl Lewis. They've heard about Jesse Owens. They've heard about Asafa Powell.
Right.
These are the symbols that make them look that like Michael Jackson. They've heard about Michael Jackson. They know Jay-Z. They know Beyonce. So these are the symbols you're talking about. Now, these symbols are of this generation. Why don't they find their own meaning? But they are holding on to the Democratic Party that gave our grandfathers the civil rights. Why are they still so aligned?
So you can say that is the transcendence of the victimhood. So
oh, I get it. That's very interesting. So the victimhood has been transferred to other generations.
Other generations.
So when you are born, you are told that you were a victim of these people.
Of this and that.
So
the example I was coming to give will explain that. So we look at education.
Yes.
So the research says that averagely, a large number of black kids are not able to do simple arithmetic, math, and all that. Then you're talking about real education policy, but they will tell you that the schools are racist, that the schools are not inclusive enough. And so they don't go into the nitty-gritties of the issue, but they are looking at the...
it's always the symbolism.
It's all the symbolism. Or we're looking at jobs. Blacks do not have jobs. A lot of things are happening, but they don't deal with the fact that the homes are not together. Most black kids don't graduate high school, but they tell you that the companies are racist. They are not inclusive enough. They are not.
But the kinds of things you are saying now, the blacks will be angry with you.
Yeah, but
the African American community will be angry, and they're always angry with us.
Exactly.
That we come from Africa and we align with the white man.
Yeah, that we are not in their situation.
Them useless. Yeah, that's what they say of us.
Yes, but
so when you're a Ghanaian or Kenyan and you're living in a deep black community, your life is threatened.
Well, I'm just presenting the literature.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, but I'm saying that these are the kinds of analysis they don't connect to at all. When you do this analysis, they tell you that you are with a white man. Very interesting. But you've done well. That's good. What did you get in political science?
I had first class. You know.
Oh, you got a first class. It shows. It shows. Yeah. It definitely shows. Clap for him. Clap for him. He got a first class in political science.
Yes.
Mikael.
So on the issue, I just wanted to quickly say. So I remember a presentation I did that was joint collaboration between the University of Maryland and the University of Ghana. So there were some professors from that university that were saying that apparently when people migrate from African countries and they relocate to the US, there is a push to sort of move them to settlements that are not black dominated. Because apparently there's this narrative that black Americans are violent or what. So there's this idea that they don't want Africans to mix with black Americans because, quote unquote, we are the good black or the non-violent black. But that's just by the way. So one of my cousins is an American. And I remember sitting
He's an American?
Yes, but
Okay.
she lives in California, like blue state. Gavin Newsom is their governor, blue state.
Yeah, California is blue, yeah.
Democrat. And I was discussing with her, and I get the impression that within the Democrat Party, there is a tent that is so big that it doesn't really accommodate everything. So you have people who are pro-black, you have people who are pro-gun regulation.
In the Democratic Party?
Yeah, pro-LGBT. But they don't necessarily all agree with each other. So there are people who are agitating for like black rights and all that, but they're not getting that. What they are getting is LGBT. So it looks as though there's entire unity within the Democrat Party, but it's not necessarily like that. That's why you see the Democrat Party.
Let me check the number of blacks for me.
Yeah, I got it. Sorry.
What
it's
is it?
12.1%, according to what I'm saying. It's about 40.1 million people.
40 million.
Yes, please.
All the African Americans in what do you call it? 40 million?
This is as of 2021, 40.1 million.
And that's still 40 million. Ghana is 30 million. They are only 40 million.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's move on. But they are an important black community globally.
Yes.
Okay, so what you're saying is that with the point we are making, that they are so heavily aligned to the Democratic Party, may beginning to see some challenges.
Yes. So it looks as though because there are black people within the Democrat Party, that black people are in favor of everything that's happening.
Okay, so you're saying that may not be, but they don't have the power to speak.
That's the point. So the upper leadership, there's a fight between the new left and the old left. The new left is people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, people like which was
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris, exactly. The old left is people like Nancy Pelosi, people like
Barack Obama.
But
Sure. Nancy Pelosi, for instance, is Catholic Christian.
On paper, but she's very pro-LGBT.
Very.
pro, what can I say? Things like reparations, wealth reallocation, things that people like Bernie Sanders say. So that's the top of the Democratic leadership. It's not necessarily that black people agree with it, but black people won't go and join the Republican Party because ideologically they're not inclined. So maybe they don't necessarily want the LGBT.
On black people joining the Republican Party, I'm going to ask you one question, the last question. Let me go back to Abdul and ask Abdul this one, and I'll come to you. Same question. Abdul, looking at what you know, I know that you may not have been in America, but you've studied it. Do you think, from your political science spectacles, that if Barack Obama was a Republican candidate, that the 20 million or so black people who could vote, would they have voted for him if the Republican candidate was black?
This question is hypothetical, but
yes.
First of all, I want to acknowledge that it wouldn't have happened. There's no way he...
No, not necessarily. Ben Carson is kind of close.
Well,
Ben Carson is close to achieving that.
Even this year, we have Elder who is also running.
Oh, he's running against Trump.
Yes, Elder is running. But you look at fringes.
You think he will not win? But let's. So we are trying to understand the relationship between the black community and the Democratic Party. Assuming what is most important for the black community is the symbolism you are talking about. So if the Republican Party has said, "Hey, black people, now it doesn't get better than this. This is Ben Carson. He is the presidential candidate of the Republican Party. Now you're going to have a black president of the Republican Party. Will they have voted? Will they have switched their vote to vote for him? Or they will vote for the white candidate on the Democratic ticket?"
So if the black candidate is promising the symbols of freedom, in fact, he would get the votes.
As a Republican candidate?
As a Republican candidate.
Are you sure?
That would also go against the Republican nature. Because under no circumstance would a black candidate be promising those symbols of freedom on a Republican ticket. So that in itself is a contradiction. So,
no, but the Republicans are not against the freedom, are they?
Yeah, but what I'm talking, they don't promise these symbols of freedom. They look at some of
substantial things. That's why Ronald Reagan says he did more for blacks. Trump said the same thing. Most Republicans say that we've done more for blacks than the Democrats, and sometimes it's true.
It's true sometimes.
But the vote still goes to the Democrats.
So it is because of if you look at the conservative voters, okay, no matter what, they are pro a lot of things, pro guns, pro American, and all those things.
Anti-abortion,
and all.
Anti-LGBT.
Yes, and so if you have a black candidate who, you see, recently this is an important point. You know, Tulsi Gabbard also left the left. So this is somebody who is a person of, let me say, color, okay, but because of certain things that she is saying, it does not, you know, let me say, ring well with the black community, or because, so it will be difficult for a Republican who is black to actually win the black vote.
Because if he's a Republican, if the Republicans were to say we are breaking ranks, this time we are giving it to a black person. And they do.
It will still be difficult.
It will be difficult. I think they will still elect a white Democrat candidate.
They will elect a white Democrat who will give them what they want. Then, in fact, they don't even believe. Some of them don't even believe that as a black person you should be a Republican. It's a conversation.
Yes, it's true.
They look at you.
They think you're a sellout.
Exactly.
They talk about Ben Carson like that.
Yes, and so they will. Even when Elder ran for governor in California, I think for some, yes, it was the same thing. People looked at him as if he's a sellout. You don't really represent us. You don't understand. Like, they look at the black elites who have.
Let me transfer the question to the United Kingdom, where the picture is quite different. There are no real homogeneous black British blacks like that. So there are Ghanaians, Nigerians, Jamaicans who are the oldest, who have been there for a long time. Some of them are on the right side. They are on the Tory party, the Conservative party, like Kwasi Kwarteng. Yes, he's a Ghanaian, but he's fully on the right-hand side of the politics. He's not on Labour Party. There are blacks are not. There are many blacks who are on the right side in the UK. Why is that so? Is it because they didn't have a civil rights challenge? Is it because they didn't have real slave trade? Why is it so?
So the difference is that, you see, for them, all you need to do is to win your state,
your
parliamentary seat.
Oh, I get it.
And so if you win,
that's it.
That's it.
And the dynamics about there,
there's
no presidential election.
So you don't have
where the whole country.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.